I need you. Ready or not. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fins Faithful podcast. It's thanks for joining us on this Saturday. It's been a rough ride for the Dolphins, right, Curtis? To say the least. Miami sits at 1-6, searching for some sort of spark this Sunday. They head under the dome to face the Falcons, who are much better at home. The 3-3 Falcons, and we're gonna break it all live with you this Saturday morning. Join us. We're gonna bring you bold predictions, keys to victory, the full game plan, and our Curtis, our fan favorite, your favorite, the over/under segment.
Oh yeah,
we'll dig into it all. How the Dolphins.
That really makes me test my OCD, man. It's like,
yeah,
I hate being wrong.
You know, we'll dig in to see what the Dolphins can finally do to grab another win. I know some Dolphin fans don't want that, but you know. It's our job here to do that until we revive the offense finally.
Quick.
Can the defense finally make a statement in the game?
Cliff notes.
But hey, it's your Saturday morning Dolphins picks. Curtis, we got a little caffeine. We got a lot of passion between us. We know that.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely zero sugarcoating on Curtis. All right, that's what we don't do here. So everybody grab your coffee, be a part of the show. We're live with you guys. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button. Help support the channel.
Don't talk about coffee. My wife forgot to buy extra coffee.
Oh, no, man. Oh, no.
I'm like,
we got to do something about that. So, Curtis, we'll see. Maybe your Wi-Fi will stay on now with the.
Yeah, I got a new system over here. Maybe it works.
Yeah. So everybody in the chat, thank you. I already see Gloria, Spirit Fingers in the house. Jay, how's it going, everybody? Come on, share the broadcast. Get everybody here on YouTube joining us in the video description below, under the video after the show. I love reading all the comments and how intelligent you guys are with that. As Gloria says, might need a little bourbon in that coffee. So yeah, you're not lying.
A little bit,
not just a little bit, Gloria.
A lot of bit,
a lot of bit. All right, Curtis, let's start off. I mean, we do have some big injury news at the quarterback position that just broke this morning regarding Michael Penix Jr.
Is he playing?
Looks like, according to was it Fowler or one of the big ESPN reporters, looks like everything's leaning towards Kirk Cousins starting this game. We're going to talk about how that changes things with Cousins. I mean, I guess you couldn't have a better backup than Kirk Cousins, though. Just our luck.
Wow, that's bad. I mean, in some ways it's good news. In some ways it's bad news.
Yeah. So let's get into the injury report first.
That's breaking news, man. I didn't know that. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. So Michael Penix, it's really the Falcons injury report, Curtis. Our injury report is very. We might as well do that first. Julian Hill out and Waller's out, obviously. So Greg
Tana can pick up both spots, man. 2 for 1.
And then we got Dulwich, the guy we picked up from on the waiver wire before the start of the season. He's going to be called up. But those are the only 2 injuries at the tight end position in this game. And my question, we'll get to it in the game plan, is I like when they pass out of 22 personnel. I like when they run 22 personnel. Is Dulwich or Connor going to be enough to do that? Because Julian Hill also being out is huge on that.
Oh, yeah. He's actually had some pretty decent games.
He's been pretty good. So, but let's go with the Falcons report first, because Michael Penix Jr. likely out. That's the big news. They also have some other guys out we'll get to, but Penix Jr., if indeed he's out, your thoughts, him being out, because his home and road splits are unbelievable. The Falcons in general, home and road splits, Curtis, in their home games, they average 26 points a game, road 10 points a game, and Penix splits are crazy. just the opposite way. Again, the same thing at home. He's a way better quarterback versus the road. So you would have got a good Penix probably. But your thoughts on the now with Kirk Cousins likely starting?
Well, you don't have to. Penix is dangerous because we struggle with mobile quarterbacks, and he's one of those. So that's going to be a little advantage to us. The downside is that you're going to get a guy who's a real veteran. He can throw on schedule. He does have a tendency to yip it a little bit, but we can't really generate pressure. So it's going to make it more difficult for us because he can get the ball out quick. He can make the reads, and he can operate within the framework of the play. With Penix, he's still young, and he has a tendency to throw late at times and rely on stuff. So it could help us in some ways, but overall, I think it's actually more dangerous because you're going to have that run game, and with 32nd running defense, and they're going to be pounding that football. And then all you got is Cousins really having to work off to keep things moving and facilitating them through the play calls. And I don't know if that's good news for us.
Yeah, I agree. Penix is very inconsistent. There's something still missing with him for me. But again, he's a lot better at home versus road. But we're not. This is not a situation where we're getting like, I don't know, name a backup quarter, the guy at Cincinnati, Browning or whatever, or somebody like we're getting a proven NFL, guy who's made a ton of money. And Kurt's going to know what to do with these weapons. They're going to, I believe their plan is going to be to run the ball.
They got weapons.
Yeah, they got very good weapons. So yeah, that's big news though this morning, guys. Looks like again, according to ESPN and Jeremy, I don't remember which reporter it was, but things are leaning highly likely. I think was the word. That Kirk Cousins will be starting.
Wow.
Just the bruised knee for Penix. No one. But also, you take a look. They got some other guys out too. Diablo, the linebacker has been good. Jalen Walker, the young edge. They got a good young defensive rookies this year. Billy Bowman Jr., who I love coming around the draft, is out. They got a few guys out, key players. And questionable. They have. Tyler Algier. I mean, he's very underrated. That's a great 1-2 punch. Maybe besides, Gibbs in Montgomery and Detroit, I can't think of a better one. Zach Harrison, their defensive lineman, who I think leads them in sacks, is questionable. But so the injury report really favors anything on these young guys that are out, Jalen Walker or Diablo, the linebacker.
Well, I mean, they got Ellis and they got Bertrand. It's going to matter a little bit. I
love Ellis.
Yeah, Bertrand's going to, it's going to be a loss with Bertrand in there a little bit. He's not terrible. They got Terrell, Alford, and Hughes at the cornerback position. Not hot to trot, but they got Watson, Bates over the top. And they've got a front that can get after you. But really, the whole thing is it's the offense. Their offense. They've got a good offensive line. And we've had problems with teams with good offensive lines and even bad quarterbacks when you look at Young and teams that can run. And I can't remember, we're one of the worst, I think 30th in time of possession. This defense, it probably come out and be okay to start, but if they're going up and down the field and they're having time of possession, ultimately this defense is going to unravel. It might unravel right off the bat.
Yeah.
So for me, that's the whole key. If that defense is on the field all day, they could be a problem. They do have some weaknesses, but if they're on the sidelines resting and we're having a chase, then I don't think it's going to be that big a deal.
Yeah. But again, the big news is the Penix one, and
yeah. I think it might be worse for us.
Yeah, I love. It's like when remember the whole Richardson and Daniel Jones. We didn't think Daniel Jones was going to turn to Josh Allen this year. But,
who knew?
Yeah, who knew? All right, so
I didn't even get that one. I should have.
Before we get into the game, I wanted to talk about some of the news of the week. I like to give you guys the injury report first to get that out of the way for bookkeeping. But the Jordan Brooks restructure, I know people thought, that restructure was going to lead to some, but Dolphins were in bad cap situation. I think they were over the cap or a little bit, and they had a restructure and they created $3 million of cap space for 2025. It's a shame the Dolphins have the least amount of cap space this year. It's really another example of why this whole thing needs to be torn down. The bad mismanagement of the cap. Did you have that initial thought when they restructured Brooks at what else is coming?
I don't know. I didn't really even think about it. Give me the breakdown on the structure because I didn't. Okay. I saw about it, but I didn't bother looking into it.
Basically, to keep it simple, is they restructured him and they created $3 million of cap. I mean, they're obviously next year. He looks like that tells me he looks like a guy who's going to be back, and I have no problem with Jordan Brooks. He's one of the few guys probably that would be back. But so they basically created $3 million in cap space because I think they were over the cap a little bit, so they had to get under. So and they're least in the league. And here's another graphic: they're least in the league, and they have the least amount of cap space in the league. And you want to know about injured players that were playing money? I saw this. Here's a graphic. We are paying 51.1 third in the league to players who are injured. Just the whole thing is why it needs to be teared down. I mean, we keep saying that, but it's the mismanagement, the injuries, the money, the wasted money we're on the field. That's partly why we're 1-6. But yeah. So, and the other thing is the Tua comment about not seeing over the D line and O line. Some people made a big deal about it. I thought, look, he's telling the truth. I like the honesty, Curtis. Did he have to say it? I don't know.
He said it before, though. He talked about it like.
But when you're 1-6, don't say it. Again, it's timing of everything. But your thoughts on that? And we have some video clips of him actually mistakes he made where you pointed out to me that, hey, maybe that's where it comes in. You know what I mean? On the throwing on Tua not being able to see over the line. Your thoughts on his comments?
That I think that's just the problem, generally speaking, with a lot of people. It's you've got to have a full eval, and everybody's got warts. There's some damn great quarterbacks, Mahomes, who just can't get the ball out fast. This doesn't mean he sucks as a quarterback. It's just the eval. And within that eval, there are problems. Every quarterback has flaws, and they have strengths. How strong are those strengths? How many strengths? How many flaws? And Tua is a shorter quarterback. There's shorter quarterbacks than him in the league. I'm not particularly high on them. I mean, you got Murray, who's a midget, and he struggles. But then you got guys like Breeze, who talked about it. He said, look, I'm a short quarterback. I live on throwing windows. And so how do you create throwing windows? You create throwing windows by leverage, by offensive line doing what it's supposed to. So if you have a short quarterback, you need to understand you've got to create these windows. And then you also have to have a diversity of windows. Breeze had a whole array of different areas to attack, which meant those windows were broad and wide, where we're limited. And so teams understand the windows, and they can understand how to make sure those windows are clogged, not just on the coverage side, but on the front side. And so, yes, he's got a weakness, but you also have to understand that they understand that. And the way to make sure that they can't accentuate that is to have diversity. And you create diversity by having an offensive line that can create diversity, an OC that can create diversity. So I just think you have to pull it all together and understand the full spectrum of what's going on. And it's not easy. So,
yeah, I couldn't agree. You make a lot of great points there. And we actually, when we were going over some things that I mentioned that Tua is not doing well this year, the middle of the field, high throws, the hesitations, stuff that, man, Tua, you know, I'll give him credit. That was his superpower. That was made him great. And he's not doing that. We keep seeing every week. And I kind of went back. And then you brought up, hey, the height of he can't see over the lineman on a few plays. The windows. You want to bring up some of those throws we were talking about?
Yeah, it's like, look, guys, just think about, and this is what I've been saying for a while. Yeah. So just imagine, okay, you're 6 feet tall. Damn, I wished I was 6 feet tall. I'm 5'8". All right, but you've got to look at all these routes. Now, the deeper the routes, the easier it is to see because you're watching the field, and the farther it goes, the height of the offensive lineman plays less of a play. The closer you are to the line of scrimmage, especially over the middle, it gets more and more difficult. And so when you evaluate these plays, you got a 6-foot guy. He's throwing over guys 6'5", 6'6", and you got to understand the closer they get to the line of scrimmage, when they get over the middle, it really becomes a difficulty for him to visually see it. And that's why these windows are so key. And if the defense is concerned about other areas, they can't clog it as much, but they know exactly what we're doing. They know the quarterback. And so it's all kind of snowballed down to this offense having a series of flaws, Tua having a series of flaws, and the defense is knowing those series of flaws and knowing we can't attack certain areas and just ambushing all those areas. And it's all come down and compounded to where Tua is being exposed with his weaknesses more than able to accentuate his strengths.
Yeah, let's take a look at those couple of those throws that we're talking about. I want to go back to the interception in the Chargers game. Let's take a look at this play. Let's go back here. All right, so initially, and you brought this up about the height and the lanes, because I looked at it initially in the interception. First of all, full disclaimer, Jalen Waller should have caught this ball. That's full disclaimer. We all agree with that. But if you look at this play where I thought you see him kind of, oh no, I'm sorry, this is the Tyreek Hill one.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? Let me get to let me go to the, sorry about that, guys. All right, so if you look here, again, Waddle's fought. You see, you saw the hitch in his back and his throwing arm. He was going to go. He was thinking about it, right? And that's where he would do it.
But if you look at that play, if you look at that play right there, he's got to release the ball, but at the trajectory, because how shallow that route is, he could actually end up hitting these guys that whoever that is, I can't see who that is, the offensive lineman and defensive lineman being driven back. So there's a chance that he's just going to whack the guy in the back head or throw too high. So he's got to wait for the second window. And that starts with the offensive lineman being driven back, a quick throw, and having that first window kind of, for him, it felt like, I can't get it there. So I'm going to wait for the second window. And yes, he's short, but it's also a quick window. And that offensive lineman's not doing his job.
Yeah, we wanted to talk about that because as we were breaking this down, you mentioned this is the stuff he's talking about, like him being, he was being honest.
The reality.
I don't think it was the right timing for it because it's different when you say it when you're, 5-2 than you are 1-6. But again, because here's where this is a sort of like, you see him hitch right there. Like that's where you should have thrown it, right? You're saying the guy who's being driven back, that looks like probably.
Yeah, he might, he look, either A, he's just going full retard, or B, he doesn't think he can make the play. But look how shallow it is, how quick it is. Yeah, and so he's like, all right, let me wait for my second window.
He can't see over the guy, the nose tackle driving. I don't know if that's Cole Strange or doesn't look like Aaron Brewer. But
it's not that he can't see over him. The ball, if you throw that football, he's got to throw over their heads. And if he throws over their heads, because how shallow the route is, the ball could sail high. Because that's got to be a flat throw. You can't. You got to make a flat throw on that one.
So here it is, and I think Waddle's like, "Oh, you're throwing it," and kind of was like caught off guard. Still got to come up with that ball.
But you see how he waited for the second window to open.
Yeah, and you brought that to my attention because I think that's why you see him right there. He was going to go, right? And I think what we wanted to show this because it shows his height being reality is he is 6 foot, right? It's not an excuse for him, but he is 6 foot. Again, Water should have made this catch, and maybe Tua should have gotten it out because I do think Curtis, he would have done that in the past. It's just a lot of
it's possible.
I honestly don't know what's going on. I couldn't give you. I gave reasons why. Tua is better than this. You know what I mean? I truly believe that.
In the past, though, you had a Hunt who wouldn't be moved like that.
Right. All right. Let's throw the high stuff. Let's go to this one. And as you see here, this is another example you were talking about.
He resets. Now he's got to throw over, and he's leaning away.
He's using all.
But he's
arms.
got to get it over their head so it sails high.
So is this another example of? Here's the release. This is what he's looking at. I almost wish it was on the other side.
Yeah.
And you see him drifting away, all upper body to throw, leg and core is not being used. He feels the pressure, throws a high, but these are throws he would dot on the number 17.
But I hate when he does that. He has a tendency to drift away from the contact.
He does. And he has to be perfect mechanically. Everything has to be aligned, especially
it's it's a reality.
But you said could this be also he can't see over the guy? But I think it's more he felt the pressure.
Yeah.
And the mechanics were bad. The foot, I mean, he's horizontal. His whole body's horizontal to parallel to the line of scrimmage, and he's not going to be able to complete. And he sailed on him. But all these passes are selling him. And the one I originally was going to put up. I mean, the one I mistakenly put up in the first one is this one, and it's another example. And I can't explain it. You try to explain this one to me. I mean, he just sails them. What's your best take on this?
Well, again, look, I don't. When you see a play like this, either Hill did, because remember we run a read coverage system. So is Tua screwing it up totally, or is Hill not going where he's supposed to? They're both supposed to be working together and be unified in their reactions to what they see in coverage.
The pocket's clean.
Yeah.
He's got time. This is just throws he would usually hit. Honestly, I haven't, I try to sound, I want to give you the smart answer. I don't have the answer on this.
Yeah, we don't know what the response of Hill's supposed to be. Yeah. But Tua's, if you go back and look at Tua, the way he throws, it's terrible.
Yes.
His platform's terrible. He needs. Then look, you compare him to, so you want to be comparing him to Breeze. Breeze had like immaculate throwing hygiene. Tua doesn't, and he needs it.
But again,
part of it, I mean, look, if you go back to he can't even drive through because he's got a guy in his face. That's that too. There's a bunch of little things here that some of it we don't know.
No, he could have drove through that. I thought the pocket was clean. This is what I'm saying. I don't understand. These are all throws that if we go back and look, he hits. I mean, Tua lived in the middle of the field. Lived in his accuracy in the middle of the field. I can't tell you how many times he was so good at dropping it between, the safety and between the linebacker and the safety. Kind of, it's just, I don't know. It could be with some with Hill, but the ball was poorly thrown high, and it's not the only time we've seen it this year. So,
but again, is Hill supposed to do that? And did Tua screw it up not just on the throw, but on his read, or did Hill screw it up on his read? We don't know what Hill's supposed to do. So Tua could have screwed it up mentally, or he could have screwed it up physically, or he could have screwed it up mentally or physically, or Hill could have screwed it up mentally. We don't know. We don't know what they're supposed. We see Hill do a little stop and drop and turn, but is that what he's supposed to do based on that coverage? Right. And if it is, then that means Tua screwed it up mentally. Yeah. So I don't know.
We wanted to show that because it brought everything in. Things he hasn't been doing well. The comment he made about his height, and
he's broken. Somebody put it out there. Yeah, he's broken.
And I don't know if there's something going on with him mentally or the injury wise, because these are things he can do. I know people want to bash on Tua right now and then, but these are throws he could have made and always made. It's just I don't have all the answers for. Sometimes we don't have the answers.
I try to do things fair, right? Yeah. So, I was called a hater of Eichenberg, a hater of Jackson. I was called a hater of Greer. I was called a lover of Flores. I was called a hater of Tua. Now I'm Tua-non.
You're a Flores lover?
Yeah, of course. No matter what you say, it's always the extreme. I just try to give the evaluation. And if you look at Tua, whether he's the greatest or the worst or something in between, his development, his framework is crap. I mean, Gailey said, they kept asking, when's Tua coming? When's Tua coming in? And this was, 2021. He says, listen, or 2020, when he's healthy and he knows the playbook, all of a sudden he's rushed in. His parents are like, what? He gets 3 plays and he's in? Tua's like, yeah, of course, like he's in. And at the end of the year, you got people coming out saying Gailey's trying to sabotage him because he loves Fitzpatrick. And at the end of the year, he's like, dude, I didn't know the playbook and I wasn't healthy. And then he comes back with the 3 OCs and a terrible offensive line. Eichenberg is tackle. Jackson is guard. Jesse Davis is tackle. Dieter is center. I mean, this is what your development. So then you come back and then you have, because of the scheme and the way it is and accentuating a certain part of his offense, okay, he has success in 22, but the offensive line was trash. And then he got injured, which is his fault. It was concussions and everything else. And it's his fault, but that's his flaw. And then you come back and you could have got Zach Tom. Instead, McDaniel bangs his table for Tyndall. No, easy. And then you don't have an offensive line. You can't run the football. And people say, oh, we ran the football in 2023. 60% of our 30% of our rushing attack for the whole season was over 3 games. And then of that 60%, like 40% was on first down. And so you don't give him a tight end. You give him this quick throw game. And so he's not a guy who's like Marino. You could just like say, hey, Kara's throw. So his development is, and then 24 was a wasted year because we sucked. And now 25 is a wasted year. So when you go through his career, it's a very, very terrible build. He's had the injury history. I didn't want to draft him. I'm like, well, how can you draft a guy with that kind of hip? But you got him, so you got to did we accentuate this kid? Yeah, in a very small sliver, but in the macro and the totality, we've inhibited him, and that's what we do. Look at Tannehill. Oh, he sucks. He's the greatest. He's the greatest. He sucks. And then he goes over and he has way more. We haven't been to the conference championship since 92, I think. And he was with conference championship and multiple victories. Why couldn't we have built around like that? It's all we do. We try to turn everybody into Dan Marino here. I think Ross has a hankering to get Dan Marino, and he just forces everything to be this way. And it's not workable. It doesn't work. So the kid's got his flaws. He's got the injury thing's the biggest part, but ultimately, Daniel, look at Darnold. I'm seeing ghosts. They had clips of him. I'm seeing ghosts. And now look at him. He's on his second team, and he's doing well.
It's something like it's got to be something. It's almost something like that because you can't explain a lot of it, and there might be something bothering him.
Sorry for the rant.
No.
No coffee at them.
Do you have a literature piece for us today? Like,
no. The brain's I probably could figure it out in a little while.
Yeah. Oh, by the end of the show, you might stay tuned, guys. You might have one. But yeah, it's something we can't figure out. Sometimes.
I got some. I've been reading Ivanhoe. I got a great bit on Ivanhoe. I'll go find a book and I'll read a little chapter to it.
Yeah, we have to have a literature. We go from all 22 to literature.
I'm going to tell my kids.
Okay, go ahead. We're going to get into the game plan here. We're going to get into the game. Let's pull up the graphics while we wait for Curtis to come back. But let's start here with the Dolphins. I know some fans don't really care about the win or the loss. They actually prefer the loss. But we're Dolphin fans here. We're going to break this game down for the people that do care about trying to win a game. And Curtis is back with this literature piece here. Oh, you got it. Okay. Well, let's go through the game plan, and we'll save that for a little later, right?
Yeah. Whenever you want, man. Whenever you want.
All right. So stay tuned, everybody. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Cap, Gloria, Evelyn.
Happy. Happy's my man. Happy. He's on my channel all the time.
Blockchain James. Cheetah. Lee's in the house. Everybody who's in the chat, we appreciate you guys joining us on this Saturday. Make sure you come over to YouTube if you're watching anywhere else. Hit that thumbs up. Help support the channel. We do take super chats. I have to say that. I've been told I need to say that. And guys, it's not something that goes in our pockets. It just helps support the show and the cost of the show. Believe me, it's not going in our pockets. I don't like asking for it, but I'm told, hey, we do accept that and all that good stuff. Chat, super chat, whatever it's called. But we appreciate it. We won't turn you down. Put it that way. All right. Let's get into the offensive game plan. Let's get into the actual X's and O's of this game. You look at the offensive game plan. You want to bring up that chart that you had?
Sure. Bring it up. Yeah. It's clear. It shows how imbalanced this game is.
And I'll start with this. Run on offense. Because you look at the Falcons defense, they're really good. Really good. Their total defense are second in the league. They only average 200. They only give up 265 yards a game. Their pass defense allows quarterback rating of 75.1. And get this number blew me away. You know what their opponent's passing yards per game is? They're number one, 141.2 yards. So keep that in mind, Curtis, when we get into the over-under part. Keep that number in mind.
Joseph's over here. I got to answer Joseph. You're all putting too much on the offensive line. They aren't only responsible to defend monsters that are trying to take the QB's head off, but also be conscious of throwing windows. Tight end's a huge piece. That's why I've been banging the table but the primary is the offensive line. Their primary responsibility is to block. Blocking is the core of all skill operations and production. In fact, when an OC is setting up his philosophy, his game plan, and his play call, it's all based on how he views his blocking in relation to the season and in relation to the individual matchups game per game. Blocking is the floor, the foundation. It makes the NFL world go round. So saying put it too much on it is like saying I'm putting too much on the foundation of my house. Your foundation is everything's built off of it. If you ever played football, try to be a running back and not have a hole.
Those are the bricks. Those are the bricks.
Yeah, it's not like listen, if they block well, then it's on the skills. And yes, the degrees in which they don't block, it raises the difficulty level on the skills. And, at a certain point, it's a gray area because, how much does a QB need? Does he need a perfect thing all the time? Whatever. That becomes a gray area. But when you look at this offensive line and its tight end group over the course of, forever, it sucked. When's the last good tight end we've had? And don't say John. John was good as a catcher, but a good tight end that can block and catch and a good offensive line.
I think we've watched football over the years. We know when you have everything is. I'll put it to you this way: everything is easier when you're really good at the line of scrimmage on both sides. Everything else becomes easy. Those you can get if Tua had an elite offensive line, a running game, and these same wide receivers, he'd pick teams apart in the RPO and be a different game. Like, how many teams go to the Super Bowl that don't have good offensive lines? The Bengals, maybe. That was an aberration. But that's all you got to look at. What teams are good at the line? Maybe the best teams in the league. And I'll show you an offensive line that's really good and a defensive line. Well, most of the offensive line. You said it best. It's the base of your home. You can't, if you don't have that, you're building on water. You know what I mean? Like, and that's a different, not concrete. And
it's also more than that because Joseph, who I love, he shows up on my channel all the time. He challenges me, which I like, but he's like, you all want everyone to do everything for a $200 million quarterback.
No,
it's not just look.
You need that for any quarterback who's coming in there, especially another.
What's the difference between Darnold, Daniels, Mayfield, whoever? It's more than just the offensive line. It's the play calls. I've done graphics. I think it's 90% of the teams in the top 10 run attempts are either tied on the season or winning. Only 10% is a losing team. And you go to bottom 10 rush attempts, and it's the converse. So it's more than just that. Look at Gailey. You want to understand how to operate in a bad offensive line. Just watch Gailey, how he calls. So it's not just the offensive line. It's also McDaniel. But yes, it's 2-2. But quarterback, despite what ESPN tells you, is the most dependent position in the game of football. And Dan Marino is the perfect example. If Dan Marino is probably the best thrower in the game, you could say maybe top 5 quarterback. You want to be generous. He went to one Super Bowl and he got blown out. It's not just about the quarterback.
I will say this to defend Joseph a little bit. When you look around the league, there's probably 4 or 5 teams with really good offensive lines. The rest, these guys are trying to figure it out, scrambling for their life. I will say that. And Tua, yes, even when the offensive line has given him pockets this year at times, and still he's missed throws. He's playing at an awful level. This is no doubt about it, right? But I will say, Joseph, I agree with you on that. Is yeah, it's not all on the offensive line. Tua's play is a factor. But I think with this particular quarterback, you really need a strong offensive line. There's only 4, I call them bus drivers or aircraft carriers. There's only 4 or 5 of those guys. Allens, the Jacksons, name the list at the top, Mahomes. The rest of the guys, you got to be really good up front, and you got to protect them because they start seeing ghosts like that, like you said with Sam Darnold. So we don't have – it's hard to find aircraft carriers. There's only 5 of them maybe, or 6 if you want to be generous. We don't have one, so you got to be good up front.
But it's a little bit more than that because, yeah, there's only a few really, really good offensive lines, but it's not about having a really, really good offensive line. That's not the total. The total is how does the OC work with what he has? You go back to Gailey, he had horrific offensive line, yet he was 16th most rushing attempts. What does rushing attempts do? What does it create over the course of a drive, over the course of a game, over the course of the season? How you operate the smoke and mirror movements in order to change leverage, affect leverage, to move the game forward, to keep your defense fresh, to take pressure. I'll answer that in a second. It all works in cooperation. It's not about Tua has to have a top 5 offensive line. It's that he can't have a bottom 5 and he can't have an OC that doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to stick to the run, attack the interior, and forces him to carry, which he's not capable. It's a totality. Again, if you really want to just study Gailey in 2020 to mask us, what do you say, Hunt? Do you think Herbert's development was just as bad as Tua?
I want to say this. We don't want to turn this into a Tua, we've been through, we know Tua's playing awful and whatever, but there are things he was doing better. I think there's something wrong with the hip or there's something going on with him, but we don't want to turn this into a kind of debate, but
well, Herbert's he's a better prospect. Yeah. He's a better prospect. It's like saying if I take a guy who's a teen power lifter, the kid's strong, but if I put him in with the rest of the world-class power lifters and I expect him to do the same thing, Herbert is but Herbert hasn't been great. He's had one playoff victory. He's a better talent.
Yes, he physically bigger. Everything does okay. When you have a guy, when we talk about size and arm strength, that's not the top all be all. I think accuracy, anticipation, processing is more important at that position. But it matters when you can have a little bit less of the offensive line because your quarterback, this particular case, our quarterback can't even take a hit. That's why it's so important. That's what's mind blowing about the build here. You know what I mean? You know what you're dealing with when you're 6'5", 250. Just look what he did to Jalen Phillips. Physical traits matter at some level here. You know what I mean? I do think processing and having just good, if you have your arms just good enough, but you throw with great accuracy and you anticipate, the
mobility is a big piece too.
Yes, and yes, and this is where the league's going, right? Yeah. And I'm just saying in our particular situation, Curtis, it makes no sense for the offensive line not to be,
No. Yeah. How do you? Listen, guys, just think about it. Whatever you think about Tua, how crappy you think Tua might be. The level of ineptitude and crappiness for Chris Grier to pass on Zach Tom, who is perfect for your system, who has the greatest metrics of any offensive line athletically.
What was that?
That was the Tyndall easy line. He could have had, if he hadn't drafted, he could have had Tyndall and Zach Tom. He could have had Zach Tom and either one, and he was in our building. We interviewed.
You don't even have to go there. They took Zach Tyndall over Leo Chantel, the Kansas City linebacker.
And they took Eichenberg over Creed Humphreys.
We can have it separate.
But what I'm saying is, if you're looking at the totality,
it's not all Tua.
If you're looking at the totality and say, what's the crappiest part of the Miami Dolphins, and marry that with what's the most critical part for Dolphin success, it would be the GM. And he is both the crappiest and most critical. You can move out of Tua. Dude, San Francisco moved out of Trey Lance. They gave us 3 picks. We did nothing with it, and they kept going to Super Bowls. Now they got Mac Jones. Is Mac Jones light years better than Tua? No. They got a better OC. They got a better system. They got a better GM. Tua, look, you could have had Mac Jones in free agent. You could have had Mayfield. You could have had, but no, all those guys would have came here and sucked too.
All right.
They would have sucked.
Let's get it. Thanks, everybody.
Who in their right mind would have gotten Zach Wilson for $6 million guaranteed? I mean, high.
I'm beyond questioning the moves and why they're still here. I can't figure it out. The list goes on,
morons,
and on and
move
on.
off to it. Look, if you had a good GM, he would have said, Tua, look, play on that 5th-year option. That's it. And they would have got in Mac Jones or Mayfield or somebody like that, and you would have had a backup option. But we've got pussies running this team. Idiot pussies. Sorry for the
all right.
Pussycats. Pussycats.
Yeah, it's all right. You can say it. Curtis is right. We're being forced to pay for a product that is not working. Well, unless there's changes, you're going to find out real quick in the offseason. Unless they do complete changes, they do this halfway bullshit. Half in, half out.
Hustle time.
Yeah, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Chris Greer promoted to a executive position that, again, Chris Greer not making draft choices and being in charge of that is enough for me almost. But
that's a problem though. It's like it's so hard. The problem is he's actually doing the footwork now, the legwork for this draft.
Yeah.
So
you see
the same guys that got us here are going to be given.
Yeah, whether it's reports.
It's whether directly, indirectly, they're going to be influencing this huge pick that's coming up.
Because even if they come in, let's say you clean house completely, a new scouting department. Let's say they can bring their own reports in, but they're going to rely on a lot what Chris Greer has done and their scouting stuff.
And his reports are trashito.
I would love to see some of them. I would love to see the report on Herbert, the report on Love. I would just love to see all that. All right.
Mind-boggling.
Curtis, you didn't have as much caffeine, but hey, we said at the top of the show, a lot of passion, zero sugar.
I'm getting angry. Everybody's like, where's the damn caffeine, Curtis?
We said it. A lot of caffeine, but zero sugar coating.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get into some of the stuff offensively here. We mentioned it. Let's get into your chart, and we're going to start on the offensive game plan.
It's a perfect example. So look,
go ahead and explain it.
Guys, look, Penix. You see Penix. He throws weird. He doesn't have the greatest read ability. So what do they do? Rush attempts, 3rd in the league. Rush yards, 4th in the league. First downs, 11. A lot of that's generated through the running attack. Time of possession, 5th, 31st. I mean, look what the setup is. It lowers the difficulty level. And if you got a guy who's not elite of the elite, that's the goal. Pass yards. They got more pass yards. Sacked. Less. We got 2.4. They got 1.4. Rush first downs. 32nd to 8. Guys, just pull that thing away. I want them to see my face for a second.
Yeah.
I'll get back to it. I want to look at some people. Guys, the game of football is about hurting somebody. The core of football is violence. Stealing the mental will of somebody by breaking their bodies. So if you do not have that, if you run a pussycat version where you run an outside zone and throwing all day, and you got a bunch of snowflakes on your offensive line, you can't break the bodies. Running the football, especially inside in the A and B gaps, the velocity that's created on straight runs, smashing people, steals away bit by bit the bodies and then takes away the minds of the players. It's the phone booth. Yeah, you play flag football, you play fun ball, but it always comes down to the phone booth. Football is like 2 guys in a phone booth with knives, and they just stabbing, and whoever gets the most stabs out is the one who wins. It's the phone booth. It's the violence.
Yeah.
There's all the other stuff, the discipline, but we don't have any of that. And the smart teams, especially with the new cycle, have understood that. Run the damn football, run it inside, get attempts, change the leverage, break teams, get your defense rest, but not us. We're built to have an explosive fumble offense and then the defense and get after you with pass rushers. Even now we're doing it. It was stupid in 22. And what we built this year is moronic. It's like somebody who went to CVS and just got a free lobotomy and then smoked hopium and dopium peyote and said, hey, let me build a team for the NFL. That's what it's like. Only a moron would have built like this. And it will never be successful. So anyway, that was my 2 cents.
All right. Look, we got to get into the game plan here. Evelyn says she's sick of talking about Tua. I agree. We went off on a tangent here, but let's get into this. Game plan versus it's run the football, right? If their weakness on their defense, first of all, they play a lot of cover one, man coverage. I always like to look at what we're facing. Atlanta defense is a lot of man in cover one. Last week they ran 46.8. Cover one, that was third in the league. Man rate was fifth in the league at 51.3%. Pretty consistent with them. They love to bring the pressure, Curtis. Their blitz rate last few weeks is about the same at 42%, number 2 in the league. And the pressure rate is fifth. Now, that means they blitz and they get there. They cause pressure. I don't think their sack numbers, they don't get us home, but they create pressure.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what the bigger thing is. If you look at their blitz, when they blitz, their third down blitzes, they are at the top of the league in every scenario on third down. Short, medium, and long, they bring it. And they cause a lot of turnovers. The Falcons defense is top 10 in the NFL in takeaways.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they've recorded 6 interceptions in as many games. They've caused quarterbacks, I believe, throw interceptions in 3 straight games. They like to pressure on third down. The Dolphins got to stay out of third and long because they're going to pin their ears back. And we see Tua be careless with the ball and just throw it into double coverage in the middle of the field, especially last week. They bring the pressure. Their new defensive coordinator.
Just add a little bit there. We're currently being blitzed 28.8%, but we're giving up 30.9% pressure rate. So it's a 2% differential to the south side or north side, but south side. Yeah. So we're not even able to pick that stuff up. We're sucking at it, and they're bringing more blitzes than they've ever brought against.
And they do it. They love on third down to do it. I mean, they're across the I looked up every category: third and short, third and medium, third and long. They blitz. They're top of the league. Jeff Ulbrich, their new defensive coordinator, is fantastic this year.
And he knows him from the Jets. He knows Tua from the Jets.
Yes, he took that defense from 28 in the league in numerous categories to now, top in pass defense, number 1 in total yard, or number 2 in total defense with 265 yards a game. To me, you got to protect Tua, but this is a run game. This is a heavy. Listen, we got to learn what Tua's struggles are right now and what we're not doing well and what we have. Waddle's got hamstring injuries, right? He's playing, but we don't have Hill, we don't have Waller. We got to line up, and even if it's not successful, that's where the weakness. If there's a weakness in that defense for the Falcons, it's the run game. They started off strong, but I think they're 19th in the league now in rushing yards per games allowed. They got to commit, because if you pass the ball on first and second down, and you put yourself in these 3rd and 9, 3rd and 7, they pin their ears back. And there's no Tyreek Hill gravity this week, this season. And you see that. Teams are not afraid to – you're noticing teams are not afraid to blitz more now. They know, well, you know what? If we can double Waddle, nobody else is going to beat us over the top. He doesn't even look at Nick Westbrook, kind of. He might as well be on the sideline. The gravity's not there. Curtis, stay out of that 3rd and long situation, or it will be another multiple interception game for Tua if he does that. And I love their young safety. But they got Bates, and the Xavier Watts kid is really good. And we mentioned the middle linebacker, Ellis, right? He is. They love to blitz him up the middle. I do like. They got Leonard Floyd obviously off the edge, but I do also like their young defensive tackle out of Clemson. They took, I believe last year, Rook. His last name is so hard to pronounce, or Thorio, or something like it. But I was very high on him coming out of the draft. But yeah, your thoughts on the game plan versus this stingy kind of in turnover making Atlanta Falcons defense.
Look, there's so many games this season that were close. And yet through that closeness, we never really ran the football. And if we did, it would have made a big difference. McDaniel doesn't have intestinal fortitude. He's very nervous. He's very quick to want to throw. He's got to score. It's going to be about running that football, especially inside. Every time you run the football, it's like, yeah, you could break it with a chance. It's going to be on turf and all that stuff. But it just, the windows, the sectors that we want to go to, it's all the same as the same. The A and B gap and the deep outs is where they don't really focus on. The deep outs because Tua can't throw, take from it often enough, and the interior because we can't take it through the run game. So you've got to force them to move out of their ambush sectors where we like to go. And the only way to do that is running the football.
Yeah.
So it's up to McDaniel. He's just not capable.
So it is a clear run the football game. Pat, if you're going to pass, he's really got to get better in the middle of the field. This is where this offense is going. It's more of that Brian Florence offense. You know what I mean? And we had him and Fitz. This is what it is. This is where Tyreek Hill, whether you like him or not, right, it is a difference because the gravity he pulls. So, yeah, I agree. You would say the biggest thing is run this ball 30 times. 25 times.
Yeah, and look, we saw success out of those play actions, but that was because they legitimately, and they suck too, the Jets, but they legitimately bought. I mean, how many times you see linebackers stepping up, so it's a bet. You've got to have the initiative. You've got on offense. You've got to have the defense playing defense. Too often they're playing offense and we're playing defense on offense. And so you've got to create a diversity of looks, diversity of attacks to keep them guessing, get the initiative. That's why we were successful in the first couple of years because they didn't know what the hell they were doing. They were scared. They didn't know, should we blitz? Should we not blitz? And it's that uncertainty that opens things up. But we also had a little bit of a run game because, you go back to that Pats game and we won with Connor and Hunt, the big blowout in the middle where we ran it for 60 yards. It was one on a run because they were playing sit back and relax, and we eventually attacked enough inside to win that game. And so you got to attack everywhere, and McDaniel doesn't do it. And part of that's Tua's problem. So, because you can't take on the deep outs.
Yeah, I agree. Let's move on to the defense. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Make sure you're coming over to YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. It really helps support us.
No, he's not big. He's not. He's not been maximized by Greer. And then in turn, he's not maximizing either because he has holes in his game.
Yeah. No.
And then Tua's not maximizing because he's got it's just it all starts with Greer and flows down.
But McDaniel's ability to not adjust during the game, the game. He's got a plan. The script goes well maybe in the beginning, and the other coaches who, well, what do you know, get paid as well and probably better coaches, all of a sudden adjust like you're supposed to, and we have no other adjustment. We try the same thing over and over again, or what's working we don't use, over and over again. So, agreed. It piles up. All right, we agree that this Atlanta defense, their pass defense is really good. A.J. Terrell, the young safeties, and Xavier Watts, a guy we were very high in the draft. To me, this is a game, and I'll give my bold in the bold prediction segment. This is a game where you got to feed the running backs, both of them, and throw Jalen right in there. Be stubborn on them. All right, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. Here's the thing with the Falcons offense, right? Rushing yards, you said it. 136, they're fourth in the league in rushing yards, right? Now, points. Okay, here's the thing with their defense. Points per game is 28th, 18.3. Yards per game, they're 7th. Good, 364. So you say, how do they not score points? Why are they 28th in points? We had this similar last week, but opposite. When we were talking about the Browns. They get a lot of yards, but don't score points. Look at the red zone score. To me, this is a bend but don't break kind of game. They are 30th. They only convert when they get in the red zone touchdowns. 44% of the time. That shocks me when you got Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier. And touchdowns, they're 27th in the league, right? So they don't score a ton of points. They move the ball. Kind of like I believe the Chargers were kind of similar to that. To me, you got to play a bend but don't break. It starts with stopping the run, stopping Bijan Robinson. You're not going to win in this league until they get better at that. You want to know why the Dolphins are losing? That's the reason why. That's the number one reason why they can't stop the run. They can't run the ball, or they don't run it enough. But man, to me, clearly, you got to keep them out of when they get in the red zone and score touchdowns. I was shocked by that, Curtis. What's your game plan here for the defense? Kind of bend but don't break here.
Well, the thing is, if you look at the point differentials between home and away,
you have that chart too.
Yeah. If you look at it, they average almost 27 points at home, but only like 18 away. I think that was back on the Ellis side with the offense, but don't worry about it. But if you look, the offensive yards per game, Falcons second, third down conversions, 8th, rush yards per game, 19th, not the greatest, but pass yards per game, 1 compared to us. But we're not too bad either at 11th. But I think most of that is just from teams deciding to run a ton against us. Sacks, we're 21st, they're 14th. Points per game, they allow 20 and us 29.
Yeah.
But if you flip it the other way, you can see, look, we're away. We're 14.8 points. They're 20 and 20 overall. They're 28, 18.3, but home they're 26. So they're a full touchdown plus at home different. So they're very, very dangerous, way more dangerous at home than away. So when you marry all the stuff together, our ability to run, their ability to run, their ability to stop the pass, our pass being our best weapon, them being more points at home than away, and us being less points away than home, it really sets up a very, very ugly picture.
Yeah. But again, they don't have Penix this week, looks like. Kirk Cousins is going to start. So does that change much for you in that when you look at that for home? It changes something.
Yeah, the movement skills of Penix and a big arm.
Penix's splits also are much better at home. You know what I mean? You're getting a different Michael Penix at home than you. I had the stats. I don't know what I was looking for, but they're much better at home. So you're getting a higher level Michael Penix. So again, that could have something to. Overall, the Falcons are better home than they are away. But defensively, it's going to start. We're the 32nd versus the run. They're 4th with the run. They have a monster running back, and Algier is also a beast. It's going to start there. If the Dolphins are going to win any games, it's going to start and end with the defensive line and the run defense changing things. And that's this week. Again, they're not very efficient in the red zone. They're 30th in the league. Can our defense hold them on? I mean, I think that's the best. Is contain Bijan Robinson. We do pretty good against elite running backs, actually. It's these other guys these guys that were working for insurance companies last week that come on all of a sudden and gadgets for 140. I wouldn't be surprised if you held Bijan to, if you held Bijan to 20 carries for 96 yards, I'll sign up for that. You know what I mean? And that's the recipe. To me, are the Dolphins going to score enough points, right? That's going to be the thing. Because, I think the Falcons will score. Will the Dolphins score enough points? But defensively, you got to get pressure on Kirk Cousins. He's not mobile. And, Drake London and Kyle Pitts. What do you think about their weapons and our matchups with that?
Well, that's the thing that Cousins is going to be able to do. He's going to be able to go through his reads quicker. He's going to be able to deliver the football faster. And the thing is, too, that if you watch, we're able to stop a lot of runs. It's not like they come out and they're blowing us out the door. We stop them, but they keep running. And then our run fits get worse. There's a missed tackle.
The run fits are horrible.
And then the defense is on the field for a while. Then they get tired and it gets more and more exasperated. I did a chart last week. I think it was about 9 inside runs before they had the first run because it was clogged inside. He bounced out. And then it wasn't to that 13th inside run where he blew it up the middle and had the big run. That's the problem with our defense is the consistency. And then also it gets tired. And so they're going to just run that damn football. And over time, this defense will break down mentally, physically, and then, it's going to open up. But the worst thing is that then you're going to have Cousins who's going to be able to deliver some balls throughout that to keep that thing running, where Penix is more hit and miss, although he can scramble for that first. So I don't like the marrying of a more consistent quarterback with that run game. And then, you add in, what was his name? Pitts and London, and we got no cornerbacks.
They don't have much of the third. They don't have much of their.
No, but I think London and Cousins are going to go pretty well because he's big and Cousins will be able to deliver the ball at high point stuff. And then and Pitts can play. He'll find something.
All right, let's jump over to the keys of the game. Again, we went over a lot. To me, run the ball, stop the run. That's the main of anything, probably every game. But force the Falcons. Be careful. They force teams turnovers because they bring a lot of pressure, and they do it on third downs. And their secondary is really good. And we've seen Tua throw the ball into double and triple coverage, like last week for the Browns. Don't stay out of that third and long. Don't let them force you into turnovers. Bend but don't break on the defense. They're 30th in the league in the red zone. And tackling. Man, they got to tackle. You got to tackle Bijan Robinson. You can't let him. That's going to be tough, but it's got to be done if you want this game. Any other keys you want to go over those, or something else you want to add?
Yeah, I mean, I think really when you boil it down, it's going to be a battle between the run game on both sides, and I think that's going to, who knows? I mean, nobody knows, but obviously turnovers and all that other stuff. But I'm saying in the main portions, how do we handle our run game? How do they handle theirs? And how do the defenses respond? Yeah, TLP, man. Look, tired defenses give up plays. Rested defenses make plays. It's just the way it is.
Who make it 3 games? I mean, this is the recipe on paper for the kind of defense the Falcons have and what they've been creating on turnovers. They're top 10 in turnovers in the way they blitz. I wouldn't bet against it to put it that way. Key matchups. The tackling versus Bijan Robinson, right? I'm going to safety play versus Tua. These safeties, Xavier Watts, Jesse Bates, how they read his eye, they take away that first read again. I think that's a big matchup. And Pitts versus the linebackers. And, of course, always our interior defensive line. Our D-line, period, versus the run game. You want to add anything on those key matchups or one in particular you like, maybe the corners versus London or Pitts?
Yeah, Onyemata is the D tackle. And he's a really good pass rusher. And
underrated. He's underrated.
Yeah. And him against Strange and Jones Avayanaya, and even Brewer is going to be huge. I saw what was a play last week, man. He just totally swung on the right guard, man. He's got really good hands working. He was in like in a flash. I'm like, man, and it was against who was it? San Fran they played? I can't remember. But I'm like, man,
got some juice. Rufo I can't even say his last name. I did it last year when we covered the draft in 24, but he's got some juice to him. He's still learning, but I like him a lot. And let me tell you something. We talk about keys, matchups. Boy, on third and long and third and middle or third and short, they're sending Caden Ellis, the linebacker. They're going to send him. He's good.
Very good.
He's good, and he's underrated. He's not really known a ton around the league, right? Like he's plays for the Falcons. He's a linebacker, but Diablo being out will also. But yeah, and I guess Rasul Douglas or Jack Jones versus Drake London. But to me, it's the ability to stop the run. All right. Curtis, you ready for the favorite? Everybody in the chat, you can play along. Over, under. Curtis's favorite game. Yeah. Curtis, we'll say the literature for the end of the show after this.
Sure.
We'll end it on that. All right. Tua, 194 passing yards. The under, I hit 4 out of the 7 this season at that line. Curtis, you going over or under?
Under. I think I went under last week. Did I win?
Yeah, you won. I'm going under 2 because the Falcons are number 1 in yards allowed for passing for a quarterback. It sounds low, but I'm going under as well.
And also, they're going to run a football this game, and if we run the football, it's going to move fast.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fast-moving game.
All right, 1.5 touchdowns. The over has hit 4 out of the 7 at that line for Tua. So 1.5 TDs for Tua.
Under.
Ooh. I'm going to agree with you. It's
Scary.
a good line. I'm going to agree with you. All right. 31.5 pass attempts for Tua. The over has hit 4 out of the 7, which has probably been the problem this season at that line at 31.5. I'm going to go under.
I'm going over because I know McDaniel.
I know. You're right. I was just thinking about that. I'll go slightly under. I'm hoping he only throws it like 26 times. They run 30 or something like that, But you're right. You're probably right. All right. Jalen Waddle, 61.5 yards. The under.
Under.
I hit 4 out of the 7 this season at that line. You're going under. I'm gonna agree with you. I could see a scenario where because he's just the number 1 main target.
And it's also on turf.
Remember,
it's one big play.
We don't have there's no Waller, even Hill. Are they going to double team him? Their secondary is really good. They're going to have high scripts on him. I'll go under, slightly under. 4.5 receptions. The over. That's hit 4 out of the 7 on that line. I'm going to go. I'll go. He get 5 catches for 50 maybe. So it kind of goes with the yards. I go under. I'll say he gets 5 for 50.
Yeah, I'm going to go with big, man. He's going to be the screen queen.
The screen queen. I like that. Is that a new segment for us? The screen queen. All right. For A-Chain. 60.5 yards rushing. The over has hit 4 out of the 7. They better go over.
Yeah, I think he'll go over.
They have to go over, right?
Just one play. One play can practically get most of that.
Yeah. All right. So A-Chain again, 13.5 attempts. The under has hit 5 out of the 7 games this year at that line. I'm going over. You better go over. If they want to win this game,
I'll go under.
Okay. You're going under. I'm going to go over. I think he's got to get at least 15, 16 carries.
He should. But so should Ollie. Ollie should be getting something.
Yeah, I stopped looking at Ollie's over under because I can't. It's just like it never hits.
We spent 2 fourths on Wright, and we spent I don't know, a fifth on Ollie, and he did well. And we don't even use anybody. What the hell are we spending all these picks on running backs for? We don't use them.
Interesting.
Stupid ass people.
All right. 4.5 receptions. The under is hit 4 out of the 7 on this line. 4.5. I'm gonna go.
Well, H-N?
He might be the screen queen.
Yeah.
No,
I
might go over. I might go over that.
I'm going over.
Same. 31.5 yards receiving. The under, surprisingly, has hit 6 out of the 7. I'm going to go with the under. I think he might screen, but he might get sometimes 2 or 3 yards on him. I'm going to go the under. It tells the line tells me.
Yeah, might as well. I try to get something. I got to get something right, I guess.
Yeah. You've gotten better the last few weeks. I'm gonna go back and rewatch every episode and jot it down. At the end of the season, we'll see what we do.
I hate being inaccurate, man.
Yeah. Don't worry. We've gotten better, unlike a certain quarterback. All right, bold predictions and final score, and then stay tuned because the literature piece for Curtis to end the episode. All right. Bold prediction: A-Chain over 100 yards rushing in this game. It's bold, but not as bold as my.
I gotta go with bold prediction.
Yes.
2 or under 150 yards.
Okay, I like it. How many interceptions?
2.
Ooh, this is not good. And by the way, can we stop arguing who the backup quarterback is in the press conference? I don't give a damn about the backup quarterback competition. Let's worry about quarterback 1. All right.
So worthless.
All right, final score prediction. I think the Kirk Cousins things makes me think, with Penny being out, but Cousins is, if you're want to have a backup quarterback, he's the one you want. It might actually be worse for us. They play better at home. Their pass defense, their ability to run the ball, I think they'll force some turnovers on us with their blitz pressure. They blitz a lot, and teams are not scared of blitzing us now without Tyreek and the gravity we talked about. I think Falcons win this one 28-13.
Yeah, that's kind of exactly. I thought, either 31, 13,
I hate
20.
picking against the Dolphins. Man. I
Something like that. It's going to be a blowout.
Give me a score.
31-17.
Okay. Well, Cap's got a bold prediction. I like this one, Cap. Malik Washington.
Oh, that is bold.
That's pretty cool. When we talk about bold predictions, guys in the chat, you guys join in. I love it. That's what I'm talking about. Those kind of the easy ones are, there's some easy ones. Bold predictions are not for the faint of heart. Tanner Connor or Connor Tanner or Julian Hill's out, as Finn's Magic said. And thank you to Big O. What's his name? Big O Tess. Freaking outstanding, gentlemen. We appreciate you. You've been lively in the chat. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and a like. Share this with your friends. Share the broadcast. Help support us here in the Finn's Faithful podcast. Jorge's in the house. Jorge's got 28-20 Falcons. Okay. Any other score predictions from the chat? Tua multiple touchdowns. All right. So there's a little more optimism here. I'm liking it.
Yeah. That's what it's about.
Yeah, any other score?
If you're a fan and you're watching this stuff and you don't got to get up here and make predictions and stuff and be accurate.
Hey, man, I said
just
this.
Say, whatever, dude, be happy, enjoy it.
I said this, all right? Well, sometimes we have to be negative and we have to talk about what Tua's doing well or not doing well or what the team's not doing well. But we love this team. I mean, look at the back of we invested time in our life into this team.
Oh, yeah.
And we're in this together, guys. As fans, because we're no different than you. We just have the blessed ability to transmit this passion through a microphone that I hope you guys feel when we bring it to you. There's a lot of work, I promise you, a lot of work that goes into just putting this one show together every week, or this show and every other show we do. But we're in this rave together. We ride it together. And that's why I did this show. It's for the good and the bad. We can talk about it, disagree, but we're in it together. And that's what I love. Steve Malloy, Finn's Magic.
Well, that's the one thing most people don't really get. A lot of times people would call me the bad guy. I have a job. My job is to give good information
about this team. It's like anything.
Yeah, but I have a look. Yeah. The worst thing I ever experienced was every year being told it's our year, and then it wasn't, and it was the setup and the letdown. And I have a job. My job is to be accurate. It's not to make you feel good unless it's really genuine. Yeah. And so it's just I'd rather. For me, I always say I'd rather be wrong and us do well than the viewer wins and I lose. That's fine. But I don't want to be telling you hopium stuff, getting you in the air and then pulling the rug out from under you. My job is to be accurate.
Thank you, Cap. I appreciate it. You love this show, bro. I love this. I love all the shows we do in this one with Curtis, because here's the thing I said when I started this channel. When you turn this on, I want you to know that every single word there's a lot of work behind it too. There's not just coming on here speaking. A lot of work, a lot of passion, you know what I mean? And a lot of objectivity, and we tell you like it is, the good and the bad. Because if you go somewhere that's going to sell you something, then what are you going to do when it's wrong? You're going to go back and you're going to say what happened. And you come in with objective. We love this team. There's nobody loves this team more than I do, and Curtis and the people we have in the show, and like you guys in the chat. You look at my back. I spent 30 years of my life in an abusive relationship with this team, and if anybody gets anything from me, is the passion I serve through this microphone. That's the feedback I always got when I started, and I appreciate all the feedback that you guys, and I appreciate everybody who comes in. One viewer, every one of you guys who comes in this show. We're going to be negative sometimes. We're going to be positive, but you're going to get passion and truth. All right. And we want the best for this organization. It's about the logo. It's about the logo here. I don't sell narratives to give you guys hope. I don't sell narratives. I sell the truth. We'll throw in some narratives now and then. I love a good narrative, especially during draft season. But we be front. Our post game shows. Who's bringing you Frank the Tank every week? We have Frank the Tank every week on. It's crazy. You know what I mean? And I appreciate everybody. And thank you, Steve. It's all about the logo, bro. Got to see it live. They're going to see it live. Oh, great.
Nice.
14-27 Falcons, 3 turnovers, 2 fumbles. Yeah, make sure you catch our post-game show right after the game. If that happens, Gloria. Coming out of the stadium. We appreciate that. But anyways, let's end it here with some literature. Floor is yours.
I got a 70-year-old version of Ivanhoe. And this will resonate. I read this, and the craziest thing, the first thing I thought was the Dolphins ownership and fans. So in all the great realm of England, there were very few occasions for happiness. Only the rich had their pleasures. For all the others were wretched poverty, hard toil, widespread disease, and the burden of heavy taxes. Entertainment for them was virtually unknown. Even tournaments were rare occasions, and when one of them took place, everyone was irresistibly attracted to it. Prince John did nothing to prevent the miserable conditions under which the people suffered, but he was shrewd enough to know that he could make them forget their misfortunes by providing them with the entertainment. There was something else he wished them to forget also. It was through his treachery that his brother, King Richard the Lionheart, captured while fighting in Palestine, was being kept in chains in the secret prison of Austria. The prince had used his brother's imprisonment as an excuse to seize the throne, and he ruled over England with harsh oppression. However, he found many who supported his rule, mainly those selfish and lawless nobles who had good reason to fear punishment for their crimes if Richard should ever succeed in regaining the throne. Small wonder then that the people of England prayed earnestly for the return of their beloved monarch. And for me, it feels like we all pining for the ancient days of glory and shula and honor and victory. And we have Prince John running us, and they have all the power and the money, and we're the peasants groping for something, waiting for the return of the king. And so to me, it's just where we're at. You know, say what you want about the old days, but there was a legitimate desire to win. There was legitimate honor and glory, and we're just waiting for the king to return. So that is my take on literature and the Dolphins for today.
Yeah, so if you watch the replay, make sure you listen to that every week. Curtis, are you up for every week to end the show?
Yeah, dude, I read all week long. I don't sleep. Look at my eyes. I don't sleep. All I do is study football and read and stuff.
You're like Mike McDaniel. You're in the office at 3 a.m., right? Did it work?
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah. Got mental issues. I got mental issues. That's what everybody tells me.
We all do doing this stuff. We all do. But we love this team, and we love you guys, everybody in the chat, Big Old Tess, Joseph, Spirit, Gloria, Cap, Sammy, Steve, the Finns Magic. I'm going through all the lists. I mean, the chat was lively. Everybody who joined us today, Cheetah. I mean, we can't thank you enough. Guys, we are live right after the game tomorrow. You never know who shows up. Maybe we have another Frank to Think appearance, but even not, we never know who shows up. We go in depth. To me, it's the best post-game show in town, Curtis. But join us. No, all kidding aside, joking aside, join us live right after the game tomorrow as the Falcons play the Dolphins. We'll be live right after the game. So make sure you guys not only follow and hit the like button, but hit the notification button so you never miss when we go live. You catch this show, the Saturday show, or our post-game shows, or our Wednesday shows, 3 Wide Wednesday, whatever we do here at the Fin Space. Well, we appreciate all the support. Thank you so much. As always, everybody, have a great weekend. Enjoy the game tomorrow. Stay safe. Fins up.
Thank you all. Appreciate it. Be good.